Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a pretty big video to get into because we have gaming news and gaming leaks coming from all over, and it really seems like the next week or two in the world of gaming is going to be pretty crazy, so let's just go and get right into this video. First, can we acknowledge my shirt? I just tried to take one single sip of my drink and spilled it all over myself, so I don't know what the hell I'm doing anymore. Now that we've got that out of the way, we have a pretty major video to get into. We have some Nintendo news, some PlayStation news, and some Switch 2 leaks. So before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe, it would truly mean the world to me. Let's go and get right into this video. So the past week or two in the world of PlayStation has been a little polarizing, because Sony announced the PlayStation 5 Pro, and we were all anticipating that. Now, the console itself didn't seem too bad, right? I mean, they added a couple more stripes to it. You know, if you put stripes on anything, that means it has to go faster. You have a car, it doesn't go that fast. You add some stripes to it, now it's going super fast. So they added some stripes. It essentially looks the same though, and it's going to play games faster and better and has some AI technology or something. But the price was the big issue. I have the PlayStation 5 Slim, and I think it's perfectly fine. I really think it feels next generation. I guess I'm not the target audience, but I don't see why we need the PlayStation 5 Pro, especially when there's rumors about Sony already working on the PlayStation 6. Even though the price is ridiculous, like once you buy the stand and the disc drive and factor in taxes, it's almost a $900 console. It will still sell out almost immediately. But not everything is bad in the world of PlayStation. PlayStation's releasing 30th anniversary consoles and controllers. We're not going to read this whole article, I'm just trying to see a couple details, maybe they don't have it here. But regardless, this is the 30th anniversary collection. We have the PS5 Slim, we have the PS5 Pro, which is so crazy that that's getting the anniversary collection. Whatever. The controllers, I think this is like the expensive controller, what's it called? The DualSense Edge maybe? And the one that surprised me the most is seeing the PlayStation Portal like this, and I think that is awesome. I don't know if they have the details here, so we'll just look at these pictures real quick, a little closer. They look phenomenal. Wow, the box is maroon. Look at this, mamma mia, it looks so beautiful. The actual wire that plugs from the controller to the console, they made that look like a PlayStation 1 as well. So I'm not seeing the information here, but what I read is there's only going to be 12,000 of these made. So it's probably going to retail for like $1,000, resell for $2,000, probably more. But if you're going to want to purchase any of this, you're going to want to keep an eye out because it's going to go fast. Now let's get into some Nintendo news. One of the biggest games to come out in the last year, I think, was Palworld, and it was marketed as Pokemon with guns. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's cool. I played it, it was alright. It's not for me, I'm not really into like the survival games and stuff like that, but I did think it was a lot better than I initially thought it was going to be. I really thought there was something there. But the main criticism was like, dude, you're just copying Pokemon. You're gonna get sued by Pokemon. And then it was weird. Pokemon put out statements that they were investigating. I think Palworld put out a statement saying nothing was going to happen and everything was all good. Nintendo and Pokemon are finally suing Palworld. And the interesting thing is it's not for copyright infringement, it's for patent rights against Pocket Pair. And I don't know if they have it all here. I'm not going to force you to read this whole article. But what they're suing them for is that they copied Pokemon for something they use in Pokemon Sleep. Pretty strange. Everybody thought it was going to be copyright infringement, but that's actually a lot harder than you think it is. And I don't think Pokemon was ever going to go that route because people could have said the same thing against Pokemon. I'll put it on the screen right now if I can find it. But look at these pictures comparing Dragon Quest monsters to Pokemon monsters, and that was 10 years before Pokemon. So I don't think Pokemon would have went after them for copyright infringement, but patent rights infringement? Very strange, very weird. Yeah, I don't really have any thoughts about this, I just thought I would share it. Now let's get into some more Nintendo news. A strange feature is being implemented into Nintendo Switch Online, and I don't know if that's going to play out for the Switch or the Switch 2, but according to a data mine, Nintendo is going to add Super Nintendo mouse support for Nintendo Switch Online. And the only game I can think of that they would use that for is Mario Paint. Does this make sense for the Nintendo Switch? Like, would they make a Bluetooth mouse? I don't see it happening. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it doesn't seem likely. As we've seen in that big Switch 2 leak yesterday, there's going to be USB-C on the top and bottom. So maybe Nintendo will release a USB-C mouse for the Switch 2, and then have games like this. Maybe they'll have a web browser on the Switch 2, because that would actually be really, really cool if they did that. I didn't have a Wii U, so I can't speak from experience, but I don't know if the Wii U had a web browser. But I find this very odd to be implementing this in Nintendo Switch Online, so we'll see what happens. Now let's get into some Switch 2 news. We have a bit of information that's confirming that leak yesterday, and then we have a possible route that Nintendo could take to make the Switch 2 dual screen. So let's just start with the first bit of news. So what we have is coming from Mitch Cairns, I might be pronouncing their name wrong, so forgive me. And they are a product designer, and they are making a case for why that prototype yesterday is actually legit. Switch 2 leaks, case for legitimacy of the leaks of people think it's just some cheeky 3D prints. I'm gonna assume they're from the UK, but I love when people use the word cheeky, like you cheeky bastard. Exhibit 1, tooling marks. This sort of thing is present on injection molded parts, and this appears to be an injection pin location. Guys, I don't know what the hell they're talking about, I'm just showing the information. There's a red arrow here, I guess showing some marks, and ejector pin marks right here and right here. Not to mention that there's a noticeably polished interior. With a matte exterior, this would be more difficult to replicate with a resin print than you'd think, more below. There is evidently finished PCB and electrical component present. The pin count on the FPC roughly seems to match the side connections as well. So they're showing something here, 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 and here. Again, I don't know what's going on here, I'm just along for the ride. The mid-frame matches perfectly well with existing process that are used to cast, not machine, the existing Switch mid-frame parts. Even the overspray coating seems to be an identical match for the existing process used. And I think that's the spray coating right there, that little outline. The way the inner edges of the button wells are perfectly polished is also highly indicative of something being injection molded. Also note how clean the holes are for the light pipe piece. Also notice the lack of any print lines whatsoever. Finally, some more interesting bits. The small, thin inner piece has other telltale signs of being injection molded with its release pin marks. Perfectly fitted, presumably magnets. If this is a fake, this is one of the best damn fakes I've ever seen, and I really can't imagine someone going through all this effort, even as far as making a fake PCB with all the traces routed. And this is stuff they're showing right here. So essentially what they're saying is all signs point to this being real. But keep in mind, we're not saying this is the Switch 2. This was coined as an early prototype for the Switch 2. Allegedly, the information that I read yesterday was saying this prototype was made in the 40th week of 2023, and I think that turns out to be in October. So I don't know why the people just want to say October. I mean, it does sound a lot cooler saying the 40th week. I feel like I'm on a journey in Lord of the Rings, like this journey will take 40 weeks, but regardless, this is starting to look more and more legit. Now, we've seen a bunch of reports in the past week saying the Switch 2 could have a dual screen, but yesterday when that massive leak came out, there was no dual screen. But there were some prominent people saying, no, it's gonna have a dual screen. We're hearing dual screen. What if the dual screen isn't the console itself, but an actual accessory? Especially when we've seen that console has USB-C on the top and the bottom. Now this might not make sense, but let me show you a patent that's going around. So this is a patent I'm assuming is coming from Nintendo, and this information is coming from Nash Riedel. But we're gonna assume this is a Switch 2 right here, and then this would be the second screen. And this second screen would plug in via USB-C. Just click in right to the top, and that would be a major accessory. Because if you had this second screen, then that would open up the possibilities for Nintendo DS and 3DS. Nintendo could sell this as an accessory, and if you buy this accessory, maybe Nintendo Online membership expansion pack number 2 or number 3 or whatever would be included with this. Because you wouldn't want that expansion pack unless you had this accessory. I have a strange feeling that this next generation of Nintendo is going to be weird and wacky and fun and exciting, and I really think we're in for a bunch of surprises. As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. If you've made it this far, consider hitting a like and subscribe, and following me on Twitter and Instagram. I would really appreciate it. And you guys know me, I'll see you soon with a new video. Peace out.